All right. How'd you guys make out today? Me, honestly, kind of dropped the ball today. I'm not gonna lie. Nice, Marlon. Nah, flow was hideous. That's kind of why I got stuck a little bit. Flow was hideous. Yep. All right. So let's talk about we'll quickly rewind. Not to go over spilled milk, but just to get an idea where we're at. And then we'll talk a little bit about what to keep an eye on going forward here. So we've been in this kind of range, right? And a lot of people are focused on the larger move coming out, as usually is the case. And the problem, whoa, that's a nice thick line. The problem with that is, and you guys know, if you have any experience in this game, it's torture. It's absolute torture, even if you know what you are waiting for, you know what to look for, even if you're as planned and organized and set up as you can possibly get, just waiting and allowing things to set up the way you would like, it just never pans out as easy, So generally, here's what we're looking at, right? Over here, okay, kind of reminds me of, and a lot of people are making the comparison. I've kind of given up on the comparison because even though there's a lot of similarities, there's a lot of things that are different. But the setup has been very similar, and what the Fed is doing is similar. And that's why I think a lot of people are using that playbook. But there's a lot of differences, okay? And that's 2018, okay? So coming into today, basically the way I was looking at things, okay, is kind of an answer to one simple question, right? And it's very similar to this. Are we here? Okay, coming into today, or are we here? Right? And, it's as much as you may have confidence in certain indicators and signals and flow and everything else we look at, there really isn't any way to know until after the fact, but for me, okay, if I have enough support from a lot of the sentiment positioning signals that we look at on a day-to-day basis, to give me a higher probability, not only that this may hold, but even if it does fail, that the likelihood is there will be buyers there and the selling, is already done for the most part, kind of thing. Then I'd be willing to, stick out my neck and be a little more aggressive than I would be if I didn't have those signals, right? So, and that's kind of where we were at coming into today, in the last couple of days, developing into this setup. Again, I'm talking to non-members here, so I'm trying to not lose anybody. But some of the key indicators we look at on a day-to-day basis, we had some decent signals here coming into today. Okay, we had tactical sentiment indicator, right, which measures trader sentiment on a short-term basis. That flashed a bullish signal. We like to look at SPY gamma, right? Again, not SPX gamma, SPY gamma. And when it gets to negative gamma exposure, right, or zero gamma exposure, it usually puts us on alert to look for a squeeze, right? So we had NASDAQ future sentiment, flash a bullish signal. You had inverse ETF activity, a high reading yesterday. So you had a lot go into the signal coming into today, okay? But some of the more intermediate term, right, the bigger picture signals obviously aren't there. And that's the problem, right? And that's the problem. So quite a few of us are looking for and trying to be patient for that setup, that bigger picture setup, okay? Because it's not that you never get tired of catching a squeeze like today and making money, right? But, if you want to keep enough bullets freed up, right, and mentally prepared, a lot of times you've got to stay light, loose, and be patient and ahead of time and allow that setup, because a lot of times you could get distracted. And I'll give you an example, okay? Let's say you did play the squeeze off the bullish signals yesterday, right, or this morning, whatever the case, okay? And you decided the market's strong today, closed at its highs, right? Everything we wanted to see kind of materialized, right? It was just a flat out clean sentiment squeeze today, no doubt about it, okay? And you decide, you want to hold this. You want to hold your position, right? You want to hold that bet you put on because you're thinking you're going to catch more upside, right? You're not satisfied with just this, okay? Very easily tomorrow we can wake up, futures can be green, some news comes out, Omicron, whatever happens, and boom, right? And now you're caught with some long exposure, okay? Feeling some pain as the market rolls over, right? You don't have sentiment as an edge anymore, right? Because those are tactical signals. They're gone now, right? A lot of those things are gone that we were looking at. And you're stuck losing money in a position, which is fine. But if you got a little too aggressive there, being underwater and losing money can be as distracting as anything out there. Okay. And while that net can be a good thing, which I think it would, if this market went straight lower tomorrow, I think it would be a great thing. Okay. What I mean by great thing, in setting up that better risk reward setup, okay, feeling this pain and holding, long exposure and losing money, you might not be as inclined to fire when you need to fire with a clear head at the next point in time when you're supposed to. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, maybe it doesn't make sense to some of you, but trust me, anybody who's been playing this game long enough knows exactly what I'm talking about. So when you have the blinkers on, right, as I like to say, and you're focused on a bigger setup, right, a juicier setup, you have to kind of take it easy and allow yourself to think clearly, right? And that's kind of the point I've been at, and I've been at for quite a bit now. Okay, I like being nimble. It's fun. But just based on many factors, we don't have to talk about them one by one, but just based off the fact that this bull market has been going on for quite a while now, it's been running on fumes. There's been less and less participation. Individual names have been a shit show, right? The list goes on and on, okay? The risk is just not worth it in my eyes anymore. You know what I mean? To stick out my neck for on a tactical, try to catch a tactical squeeze, it's just not worth it. Now, granted, I'm still going to try to profit off it. I'm still going to try to take advantage of the opportunity. But what I'm saying is, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense, as stellar as this run has been, to risk major capital on an overnight basis for any tactical move here. Okay, that's generally what I'm getting at. So I've been at the point, and again, I'm being dead straight with you guys, right? And those of you who are members know this is not new. I was at the point here, and well, that's the summer. I was at the point probably from the summer on where, any tactical shorter term setups, I want to look to try to capture intraday. Sometimes I'll luck out and make a decent hit. other times like today, I really, I made a little money, but nothing to get excited over or off a squeeze setup like this, so that's going to happen. But again, the more important thing is I want to sit, be patient, and allow that, that bigger setup, that sweeter setup, allow it to materialize here. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I think we have more work to do. It may not necessarily mean a lot lower levels. Okay. But, anytime we squeeze, like here's another one, post Fed, right? Same thing. We had tactical signals set up here, right? Going into the Fed. Okay. And you get this strong squeeze, right? Some people don't even remember it anymore. The post Fed squeeze, how significant it was. Okay. That squeeze ultimately sets back that better setup that we're looking for, sets it back in regards to time and work to do. All right. So now we have to work off, right? All the good that this did, all the de-risking that came out of this drop, right? From all the players taking off risk and all that, a lot of that got taken away through this rally because people chase and put risk back on. Right? You heard the rhetoric coming out off that Fed meeting. The Fed was hawkish, and you would have thought they cut rates the way people were acting. Right? They were uber bullish. And then, this happens and you get the same thing, right? People spitting up positions after chasing and putting them back on here. And, you're hearing it from a lot of places. You hear that term a lot right now, de-risking, people taking down risk. And I think that's the good that not a lot of people are talking about, is that while this is going on, not many players out there, in all likelihood, when this is done, is going to be positioned for risk on upside in the market. There's not going to be any left. And we're seeing it already. We're seeing it already. Okay. So I think we still have more work to do. Ultimately may take a break of this. Right? You guys, again, if you're members, the two scenarios of that chart that was pointing out, right? So one of the scenarios was you get this tactical squeeze, right, off the signals. The other one was it either fails after a quick squeeze or fails instantly, and you get to where we want to be a lot quicker, right? So one of those two scenarios will likely play out. And that's kind of what I'm waiting on. Now, what happens if it doesn't play out that way, which is totally possible, right? I don't have no freaking crystal ball. Okay. What happens if this just shoots to new highs and we get a Santa Claus rally like everybody wants and everybody's been hoping for? Okay. For me, it's not going to change my way of thinking or my approach here, based on what I'm seeing right now. In all likelihood, the flow will probably still suck net. You probably get some decent action the first couple days of the squeeze, and then, bulls will get tired, buyers will get tired, breadth will start deteriorating, right? That's likely what's going to happen if we don't do some more work here. All right. So I don't see any good out of that happening. Very similar to this, guys, right? I got deja vu. We were talking here, okay? And we were talking how this, well, right around here, right? This needed to stop here. This needed to stop and come back down and probably test lows, and that would get the job done. But it didn't, right? It just went straight up, and that's not good. Okay, that is net, that's not good big picture wise. Okay, because then you're going into something like this again, if not worse, right? With just less participation. You had a market that rallied, went up every single day. And by the time you were here, if you looked at individual names, you thought you were an all-out crash. And so A lot of us are just tired of that, right? It's not easy to make money in that environment. Right? People think it's easy to make money in that environment because the market's not going down. It's extremely difficult. So I either want to see things loosen up and improve, or I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And again, I'm not going to knock the cover off the ball. I'm not going to paint my P&L, right? It's going to be a grind, but so be it. Because again, the risk reward here without a better setup materializing out of this, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Okay. But let's say if you're just a quote unquote trader and all you're looking to do is be nimble, that's your game. I mean, there's nothing that should change for you ever throughout this process. You should be looking for those bullish signals to find an entry and play for a squeeze, just like we saw today. If you're playing the short side, whatever you do, you don't want to short into those bullish signals, no matter what your bias may be. And you play the game that way, nice and easy, very mechanical. But you also got to be realistic. All right. You also got to be realistic. See, for like me, if I did play for a tactical squeeze, I'm more than likely out today, case closed. I'm gone. Because that's where you get into trouble, where you're looking to take advantage of yet another tactical squeeze, which is like number 95 in this bull market, and you're trying to make a big hit off it. So that's where things become troublesome, especially late in the rally. So again, the point being is whether it happens here, whether it finally happens here like it didn't here, okay, or it happens in January or February, that's kind of where my head is at, right? On the swing side, I am not inclined to put on any noteworthy overnight position risk unless I get some of those more important signals behind me telling me that there's been enough cleansing. You know what I mean? There's been enough of a cleansing sentiment wise to the point where the upside will be worth it. The upside will be worth it. So that's kind of where I'm at. So basically where we are today, right? Just to give you guys an update, again, bullish setup coming into today. Now, those shorter term signals are above neutral, probably another gap. We get a gap up tomorrow. You're probably going to have sell signals on these short-term signals, on these short-term indicators, right? You're going to have sell signals. And that's how quick it happens. So the edge we had coming into the day is, for the most part, gone. And, if you missed it or you played it and you're looking for another, you got to allow that to materialize. And that doesn't take long these days. Yeah. Sometimes, that's well said. All the time I drive myself nuts. But sometimes I make money, sometimes I lose money. 100% right. You're 100% right. But, I don't listen. It's hard for anybody to kind of preach and tell anybody else what to do in this game. For me, I know, right? I've been playing this game long enough. I know that when it comes to swinging options positions, okay, the bulk of my P&L on as far as profits are concerned, in regards to swing trading positions, all are generated from these type of setups. If I look at all the other times that I, put on a swing trade or much of any overnight risk outside of that, it would probably net would have been is a losing proposition, if not even worth the risk, without a doubt. For me, all the profit side of my P&L on swing trades come from those stronger setups and healthier setups. you know, and like I said, you could be different. But for me, like this here, this area in here, there's nothing coming out of there that excites me ever. Because the problem is I'm never going to size up aggressively into that anyway. Worried about this, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. You know, like I said, I guess it comes with experience, right? You could either decide to frustrate the daylights out of yourself constantly and pretend like you didn't learn anything or it never happened throughout your career, or you know, you learn from trial and error and mistakes and frustration, and you fine tune your strategy to get better at things. You know, to get better at things. Yeah, like for example, Dustin, like for me to like swing trading options, I am not buying calls 2 weeks out. You understand? Like that's tactical trading for me. And for that stuff, I feel a lot more comfortable trading the equity. You understand? So very rarely am I going to go and put on a size position in calls that expire in 2 weeks. You know, almost always I'm going at least 3 to 6 months out. Almost always, if not longer at times. You know, and you know, the bulk, like when I get really aggressive, and I'm not even talking about size of positions, but I'm talking about even the amount of positions, the amount of money I have at risk, you know, it's always coming out of either some consolidation with over a course of time, right? So not a 2-day drawdown, you know, some lengthy consolidation or a severe pullback, a correction. You know, so like many of you guys have heard in the past, like coming off the COVID lows is when I was most aggressive and had the most amount of call positions in different names. You know, here I can't do that here. There's nothing showing me that I see that tells me I should be anywhere near as aggressive in the same manner here, right? I mean, we could run down the list and you don't even have to be looking at the same stuff that I'm looking at, okay? The first thing when we came on today, and everybody who's a member, the first thing, words out of their mouth, God, this flow sucks. So flow has been screaming for me not to do that. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to pretend I don't see that and just, you know, start buying shit because I want to buy shit, you know? Right? Sharpies are fully hedged. Like we could go down the list and maybe you can find a couple things that tell you, oh, wow, you know, this is pretty bullish. But, you know, there are a lot of things that are telling you that you shouldn't be as aggressive here, right? You shouldn't be as aggressive here. And, you know, you got to pay attention to this stuff, you know, if you're looking to benefit from it. I mean, you got to pay attention to this stuff and do the right thing, you know, do the right thing. But it's just common knowledge of the market. If you fire up the machines every day, right, and you're looking at the same shit all of us are looking at, it just hasn't been healthy out there, guys. Okay, you look under the hood of this market and you will find a violent, severe, harsh bear market in individual stocks, in individual names. Okay, without a doubt, there's no, you can't sugarcoat it. I don't care how bullish you are. You know, there are a handful of names that have looked incredible, like a Costco that goes up every single day, right? But the majority of stocks are in a full-fledged bear market. So, you know, that's, to me, just based off that fact alone, I know there's no way I'm going to put on anywhere near the risk I would put on as I was coming out of a consolidation or correction in the indices, right? Okay, well, I'm going to play the same 10 stocks. Now, listen, if you're in those 10 stocks from 7 months ago and you're holding those, I always get that rebuttal on these webinars or on Twitter. Yeah, I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking about starting new positions up here. I'm talking about putting on new risk up here. I'm not talking about Microsoft that you bought 9 months ago and you're all bullish and still want to hold on to it. I'm talking about buying a Microsoft right, up here into the highs. Like the stock just came out of, a lengthy consolidation or correction. Right? And it's just a handful of stocks. And again, another issue we've all had, right, that we've been talking about is that, if you look at the individual names out there, there's some interesting stuff out there. You got names that, have at least 50%, 60% haircuts off their highs. So it's not like they're trading at highs. So you take the indices away in a handful of names and you look like you're getting bargains. But the question you got to ask yourself, right, and this is a la late 2018, is, the indices don't look like that. And if the indices are the last thing that eventually roll over and go into some sort of drawdown, what are those names that look so appetizing 50% off the highs? How are they going to act? Are they going to buck the trend and just run to new highs while the markets roll over? I highly doubt it. All right? We talked about this. They probably will outperform. Hey, maybe they don't even go net lower in a sense. Maybe they just carve out bottoms. But is that where you want to put your money on a risk reward basis? So your upside is chop, your downside is an overall market correction? That's not, that's not a risk. Everything in this game is risk reward. That's not something we want ever to put our money behind, right? Or I should say, not ever. We never want to get aggressive, right? You're never going to want to size up into a scenario like that. Right? If you're playing lottos, to keep yourself involved, pass your time, try to make some money if you get lucky, that's a different story. But you're not, you're not looking to get aggressive into that type of risk reward setup. What we want a setup where we have an opportunity to make money in that individual name via just the market, overall market momentum squeezing higher or sentiment, right? Based off the flow in the name and the sector itself, even if the markets just hang in there, right? You have multiple ways that you can cash in a ticket. You want that type of setup with the wind at your back, not against you. And I've learned the hard way. Again, through experience, I've learned the hard way that even though names can look appetizing and look like the selling may be done, the indices rule everything. And if they head south, especially, you get into one of those climates with margin calls and that old shit, it weighs on everything. There's nowhere to hide. They smoke out everybody. And again, I'm not saying that's coming here. Inevitably it will come. I'm not saying that has to come here, but we need more than this. We need dip buyers to feel some pain, to get stung. You know what I mean? To lose interest. That's what you need. Remember the COVID lows, if you remember, we used the term non-believers. Nobody believed in this rally the whole way up. The whole way up. Everybody thought it was only a matter of time before it rolls over. That's the beauty of something like that going on. And it doesn't have to be COVID. It could be a flash crash like we had, I don't remember what year that was, and it scared the shit out of people. And the one good thing we have to our advantage, and this is what we were talking about Sunday, we are not coming from euphoria in equities here. Right? We are not coming from that point. If we did, you would almost hear disappointment in my voice that better setup is too far away. That's what you would sense out of my voice if we were coming from a place of euphoria here, because that takes a lot to to work out, right? It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of volatility, takes weakness. It takes a lot to work that shit out. We are coming from, even though there are bulls out there, there's not much conviction. Soon as a round of weakness comes into the market or some negative news, boom, they're getting rid of everything they got. They're very defensive. Yeah, we are. You're right. We're one headline away all the time, Matt, right? Like everything was looking rosy right before COVID, right? You heard people using the line, the market just doesn't care. And then eventually it did care. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what everyone's got a foot out the door. Exactly. So that's what I think. Like you guys saw the scenario chart. I think that's what ultimately we're going to need, where dip buyers and they're traders, they're tactical right now. They get stung. And then I think we're going to be a lot closer to where we need to be. Again, the problem is that doesn't have to happen here. It could happen next year. So, I mean, you guys agree. I know a lot of you I talk to agree. You guys have to be tired with the action in individual names. It's a shit show. Even when things are going good, you feel like you have a couple days and you better get the hell out of the way in that time span, because if you're stuck, these things fall apart in seconds. Yeah, me too. Not even longer term bets, just, being interested in a company, right? You see sweeper activity in the name you're not too familiar with. You find out that it's a pretty decent company. You see some accumulation going on, right? You don't have to worry about, a little weakness and those calls are buried, right? You could possibly add into a little weakness. We haven't had that in a while now. Everything's just a trade, right? Everything's just a trade. Feel like you have to take your money and run. It's like musical chairs almost. Yeah, without a doubt, Eric. That's a great point. And that's the market for you. Okay. Because even if you're being prudent, Eric, and you're being conservative here, the market's doing what they're doing, just not pulling back, not coming in, can frustrate the living shit out of you, right? Because it makes you feel wrong and like you're missing out. But in reality, that's where you got to remind yourself, you're not really missing out on much. Yeah, maybe you could have got lucky in one name at one point in time, but overall, you're really not missing out on much. I mean, talk to other players of this game. They're not doing cartwheels all over the place. They're buried alive if they've been playing aggressively, right? They're buried alive. This market, without the indices hardly even budging, this market has smoked out every little ounce of speculation that you could possibly have imagined. Every single area. Flat as a pancake. That's good. Think of that. You should pat yourself on the back, Jared, for that. All kidding aside, you should pat yourself on the back. That should be your goal right now. That should be your goal. Hanging around, right? Not doing too much, hanging around. And if you're flat as a pancake, that's good. Even more so if the markets get a little weaker from here, because that's what's going to kill people. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Again, like when you stop and think about it, and I don't like to really use this example because some traders, some of you guys may be new, some of you guys maybe didn't really get your feet on the ground over the last 2 years, so you didn't take advantage. But when you have a market that's done this, off a great low setup like this, there's got to be a point in time where you say to yourself, listen, I'm going to play. I'm going to try to make some money. Maybe I lose a little money. I'm willing to give a little back, but I don't want to give this shit up here, right? I don't want to give this shit up here. And for what? That's the thing. For what? Right? Whenever we're on these webinars, I always, I get that one name that may be bucking the trend. That's one name out of a whole universe of the market. Yeah. Well, if I ever tell you I'm going short, you back up the truck and just buy as many upside calls as you possibly can. If I ever tell you I'm going short, that would be the ultimate contrarian signal, right? Definitely would be. All right. But, so that's the story here, right? You want to take a conservative approach, especially for those of you who are members. You look for those favorable short-term sentiment signals, roll the dice, put what you're willing to lose in some calls, right? SPX, or even, a high beta names like a Tesla, you think you can get a big bang for your buck on. And you play off of that, right? If you manage your bankroll properly, you're more than likely going to come out net profitable by playing off those signals, right? If you're managing your money properly, you should definitely come out net profitable. Okay. But even more so, right? Even though maybe the profit's nothing you're going to get too excited over, like Eric just said, you're going to hang in there, not beat yourself up, and force yourself to be patient for that better setup, that better setup. And that better setup can come in different ways. Okay. Obviously the ultimate setup would be if we get some sort of flush and you get everything lined up, right? You get hedge fund short, Sharpies all in, all the indicators lighting up green, right? That's the best case scenario. But there's in between that too. There's in between that. We don't have to get all of those things lined up to get a decent setup out of this. A little consolidation, a little more shakeout, and you can get at least a period of maybe a solid 2 months of a healthy rally. That's the difference you're going to see. A healthier move to the upside, more participation. Okay. So when we see sweeper activity, we don't have to make sure we pick the one sweep so we cash a ticket on the calls. Oh, this better be the right move here. You can literally throw a dart at the 6 good looking sweeps and you're likely going to make money, because of the strength and the quality of the rally. That type of thing. Right. And the one name is not always Apple. Exactly. So you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I talk to a lot of you and you guys sound the same way I do. The key is just not to get reeled in and forced to do something you don't want to do. Right. That's what it is. Force yourself to try to size up, make a signal stronger than it is and roll the dice. You want it nice and easy here. And believe me, like one of you guys just said, sometimes it just takes one headline. Boom. Right. Comes at the right time with gamma where it is at certain times and things start to unwind quickly. You could be there in the snap of a finger. But that's good, Johnny. That's good. In my opinion, that's good that it does that. You understand? You need something to rein in your risk. You need something to do that. Otherwise, you're going to get caught when the music stops. You're always going to get caught, right? If you're paying attention to Sharpies, the likelihood is you're not going to get caught when everybody's all in and the music stops. Can we even get a 10% pullback? DD, I lose hope by the day. Listen, we are going to get it. But again, when, right? Like I gotta believe we get it by the end of the first quarter. I really do. I'll be shocked if we don't get some sort of 10% pull by first quarter next year. Obviously, I could be wrong, but that's my gut anyway. Right. But that's the kicker though. Right. In other words, what creates that 10% pullback? And then how does the Fed react? right? If you get the Fed react immediately, you might not ever get it again. Right? The next pullback might be the ultimate crash. We might not ever get a pullback, DD. Maybe the next pullback is the end game. Right? Who knows? Who knows? We have no idea. We got to allow things to play out, right? And then react as we see them. That's all we can do. Yeah, inflation, they had an opportunity here, DD, like late 2018, where liquidity was going to be awful and maybe can get a little crazy to the downside, right? The Fed out of the way, not able to do much, but bears, they just don't have it. You see, I'm trying to get them going too here. Maybe. And another thing too, did anybody forecast COVID? Guys, we never know what shows up. You never know. The majority of times they're from things we never expected. Right? We never know. But for me, here's the one thing I can control, the one thing I know, right? Just so you guys understand where I'm at, where I'm coming from. For me to get aggressive, right, on the position side, okay, and carry any sort of weight overnight, okay, I need to see something crack. I need to see it. Okay, for me to get to that point, okay, there's in between that point, but for me to get to that point, I need to see, people lose hope in the market. I need to see people lose hope in the market. Because like everybody thinks like all these dip buyers and bulls have been right, and they have been, okay, they have been, but in reality, there's only a certain amount of things that they needed to buy to do okay in. They haven't done anything special, and if they bought the wrong things, they got their ass handed to them. So again, it's easier said than done. Right? If you bought a SPAC or a Cathy name or Roku or anything like that, you got crushed. Yeah, we need to see head roll, but here's the thing. We need to see heads roll in the right things. You need to see the invincible names, the untouchable names show, like in Drago, the Russians cut. They need to show that. That's what you need. You need a shakeout in those areas. Everywhere else, it's been done. It's done. You don't need Cathy names to go lower. They've wiped out everybody. You understand? They did everything you could possibly ask them to do. What you need is the big guys to either show some cracks or do nothing, kind of like Amazon, like this. Okay? This is what you need. So you need a lot of the larger names to do a whole lot of nothing. And then what you'll start to see is money go elsewhere, especially when they start acting right. They'll end up chasing a lot of that stuff, kind of like what we saw with the growth value rotation, kind of like that, where it sneaks up on you. But you need these names that have just been incredible. They need to look at these things. Some of these things are just nuts. They're nuts. They're due for a shakeout. Right, exactly, Dustin, right? Like AMD turned into a stud, right? How quickly forget that this thing, oh my God, the agony in that thing, right? You're 100% right. Exactly. Just like that. Just like that. Yeah, the flow's it's been pretty disappointing. Micron too, Matt. Matt, I missed your question. You said somebody was asking you, and it went too quick and I lost you. Was it you? It might not have even been you. I tried to scroll up and I botched everything up. You said somebody was asking you something. Oh, if you're going to do live broadcast through the end of the year. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I thought the Sunday falls on Christmas. It doesn't fall on Christmas, right? And New Year's. Yeah, no, don't worry. So I'll broadcast. I'm more worried about them, not me. It's not a pain in the ass to broadcast. Yeah. The Sundays, I thought, I wasn't going to broadcast live on Christmas Day. I mean, again, I don't care, but I just figured I shoot out. I don't need to sleep. I sleep. I'm good. But yeah, keep the Sundays on. Definitely. Sunday mass. I'll do a Periscope live from church. All right. Anybody have any questions? Anybody doing anything interesting going on in names or anything like that? Anything? No? What have these names been doing? I haven't really been looking at them. God, they look so appetizing here, man. They look so appetizing here. Buying equity in UNet, those are all the studs, right? Off a nice dip. Honestly, I can't blame you. I can't blame you. I really can't. I can't blame you. Hopefully we start to see some good looking action in these things. They've been pulled back nicely. All of them, right, Dan? All of them have pulled back. Wow. Damn. That's incredible. It's incredible how these things pulled back like this. And you had cyclicals, they haven't done shit. You telling me all that's been holding up the market is the Apples of the world? Really? Like, that's it? God. It's almost like, it's almost, again, that rig game, right? It's almost like they know exactly, it's mechanical, how they do it. Fat man. Unbelievable tree. So, the thing is if these things come down, do they take down everything else with it? It's going to be interesting to see. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Exactly, tree. I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't know. Oh yeah. Dan, these names, right? If the market looked like this, like usually most of the market is highly correlated, right? At times of a pullback. If most of the market looked like this, Dan, I'd be doing cartwheels. This all looks beautiful. These pullbacks. You understand? This all looks beautiful. What I'm concerned about is if the indices, hence some of these larger names that have held up the market, if they have a hiccup, I don't know what goes on with the rest of this shit. I really don't. I really don't. Because look, these things, a lot of these things have been mauled. SE, that finally had a half decent pullback. Look at this. Wow. Isn't it a little foolish though? Like if the markets roll over and the generals roll over, it's foolish for us to say this can't come down more. You know what I mean? Off a move like this. It's foolish. We don't think so, but come on. These things have been up thousands of percent. Melly, oh yeah, Melly was a big, wow. Man, a lot of this just happened too, right? CPNG. I know that one. That's the North Korea Amazon. CPNG. Oh yeah, look, they're moving a little bit here. This thing too got mangled. Look at this thing. It doesn't make a profit, SE? Really? Jesus Christ. Yep. I think this is CPNG, not Ackman. I think it's what's his face? Drunkenmiller. Hmm. Oh, both. Wow. Interesting. You know what was very impressive today? These guys. Right? This told you this, that the Omicron shit is probably kaput, done. Yeah, and the studs. Booking, Hilton, the hotels. Look at this. Yep. But that's half the problem, right? The other half is Fed related, if that's an issue. Yeah, I'm not smart enough to figure this stuff out, guys. That's why I need things to get flushed and I could just hit buttons because the timing's right. Yeah, Trey, the performance in these stocks today, I mean, you're talking about big moves. You're not talking about, you're talking about strong moves here. Whether Omicron is going to top out, fizzle out, or maybe it was the pill somebody mentioned. Somebody came out, Pfizer, somebody came out with that pill today, or is coming out with the pill. But yeah, this was impressive. This was impressive. Not the bill, the pill. Oh, it didn't come out yet? Gotcha. I got you. Yeah, Expedia had a really nice move. But listen, here's right. What's it do now? Is it still stuck in this shit? And it's not even this, right? This thing has been stuck. Look at this. Look at this. What a menagerie that is. Right? That's long consolidation there. I like Booking too. Booking's the stud, right? Look at this. Yep. Again, guys, I agree with all of you. There's opportunity out there. Let's see this pig. There's opportunity out there. Just a matter of timing. Woof. Even Trip was up today. That's when you know it was a strong day, DW. Even Trip was green. All right. China stocks. You're asking the wrong one. There are people getting bullish China issues, but I don't even know. I don't even know. I've been scared shitless of China for a long time now. You guys know. Commodities too. Let me tell you, like there were a couple plays out there that catch some good looking action, but overall, I'm scared of commodities because who knows? They may have topped out for a time being here. This Alcoa, they buy the shit out of it. Yeah, AA. This thing catches bullets. I haven't been able to pull the trigger on it because, again, just commodities in general, I'm not even worried about them rolling over completely, but doing nothing is just as bad in the option world. And if you guys remember, I agree with you, like FCX is solid, but this is what I was worried about. This. You understand? You're going to trade through this. You're going to be Houdini to trade through that. This was the easy money in these things. Right here, look. Right? It's obvious. And those of you around, remember with the flow, and you guys know, this was the easy money here in these things. This is when commodities, people were scrambling to put on inflation exposure because they had none. Commodity exposure because they had none. Now think about it. Everyone gets long concerned about inflation. Everybody and their mother's worried about inflation. Best case scenario, you're going to get a whole lot of nothing, right? Best case scenario. Off a move like this. So it still looks great though. This looks healthy. No, I'm not saying it doesn't. Right, exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth, Cal. That was the next thing I was going to say. If if you have that thesis, you buy some on pullbacks, right? In this period and tuck it away. Oh, valet, yeah. Don't they rely on that country shit more too? Wow. Yeah, because you got to rely on politics and everything else there. But even these names, like, again, I'm just not the stuff I'm excited about. Is, luckily some of the stuff is correcting now, and the stuff that's just not getting any attention. There are no new names, guys. There are no new names. They're not bombing any new names. Anybody have a new name? You see, I was like, there you go, Al. Like a kid in the candy store trying to figure out what one name that's new, that's seen flow for the first time, right? And you guys are telling me it's a freaking beauty parlor or shampoo, whatever the hell they do. When markets are healthy, and again, usually they're coming out of consolidation and corrections, but when markets are healthy, you see a ton of new names. I'm not even talking about names that just came public a month ago, but names that you never saw catch flow. Yeah, well, if they work hand in hand, DD. In other words, there's more participation, right? They're buying different things. You don't just see Apple and Apple and Apple and Apple and Apple. You know what I mean? You see a variety of different names. So you don't have to play the same stock twice. Right? AT&T. Yeah, the defensive names. You're right, Marlon. There's been flow in these things. The defensive names. PG. This thing caught some nice action. Remember, we were talking about this. How can you get excited about Procter and Gamble? Ford looks good, Sean. Ford looks good. Yeah, it's not new, right? This thing's been getting tattooed for a long time now, but Ford looks really good. At least it's catching flow. There are some names that FLGT. Yeah, that caught some action, this thing. This is like a biotech or something. Yep. Yep. But these are the type of names, right? We talk about it on every webinar. And you'll see them, you'll see some really good looking activity, not just one bet. You'll see it come, like this OLPX, they hit it twice, and that's how we remember it. But you'll see a lot of names like that. And they don't have to be thin names. They don't have to be thin. They could be names that just haven't been catching flow. We haven't seen flow in that are in play now. FLT had a little bit of flow today. Yeah, I saw it today. FLT. I think they were May calls they were buying. Yep. And it's the accumulation. Like, look, you could see one good looking sweep, especially when the market's up, right? You don't know if the player's short the name, it can mean anything. You want to see accumulation. You want to see commitment, conviction. Later, Tree, you want to see, again, we go back to that period of time because it's hard to remember other times, like when they were gobbling up Nuon and Yeti into consolidation, and the stocks weren't doing anything, but they kept buying them and buying them and buying them, or even recently with some of these growth names. It didn't last as long, but the Snows, the coins, all that stuff. Now they're just MDB, Bill, right? Those now it's nothing. Like I don't have. There's nothing. Right? Like the shampoo name is like one of the new names. Otherwise, there's nothing. There's nothing. All right, even like MTTR when they were buying it then. Right? Like multiple sweeps, you couldn't miss it. It's not going on, guys. And a lot of times, like that's a gauge for me of the health of the market. Right? It's almost like it's running on fumes. It's almost like it's running on fumes. What do you mean? What do I see on Trade Alert? Yeah, LCID. Even all these EV names, they tattooed them, but they're all news now. Oh, which ticker, DD? I didn't see you. I gotta make this bigger. I'm missing everybody's post. What ticker are you talking about? Oh, yeah, yeah. It's just Apple sweeps. In other words, they're programs, they're algos. They're not players buying Apple. So what happens is when Apple had that sick move, what was the other big guy that had this sick move? There were a couple of them, right? Shop, there were a couple of them, but Apple was ridiculous. So, during this run here, all you see is, two 300 lot sweeps, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. And it's just, the alert board's all Apple. There's nothing else. Yeah, that's the thing, like we always talk about, you see us talk about, DD, is you always want to see new names, new action, new setups. That keeps you out of trouble. When you're seeing the same names being bought over and over and over again, it usually tells you a lot about the environment. It makes sense too, right? The action's thinning out. But when you see them, finding consistently new names, placing bets in new names, it tells you they got some conviction in risk on out there. Yeah, Shop catches some good looking bets, Shop catches some good looking bets. You got a nice little pullback there too. Maybe these things rally from here to get a Santa rally. I really don't know. I really don't know. As the flow comes in, again, if there's going to be a little Santa rally, you're going to see sweeps in all these things. So you can play them, right? We'll have action. I wouldn't get too carried away. That's all. Abdul, it's being, as a safe hey, it's like a defensive play. Like people think they can hide out in Apple. You know what I mean? Saeed, they think they can hide out in Apple. They think they're safe in Apple. And it makes sense. Apple's a stud. But usually, it's only a matter of time before they get them. Yeah. Yep. And I would love S&P 500 futures, Dustin, to follow. That would be perfect. And for that to happen, it doesn't take much, guys. Doesn't take much. You get like this rally here, you get fizzle out, and then all of a sudden you get a couple days of selling. That's it. That's it. This setup is going to be decent. Barring a nuclear bomb that goes off, right? Something that we can't foresee. If this is just the same, what we're seeing right now play out, and there's some selling and it cracks, and gets people, to just throw in the towel a bit, you're going to have a decent setup here. Again, doesn't mean we're going to have a new bull run, you know what I mean? A new leg of a new bull market, but what we'll have is we'll have at least a good couple of months of healthier action. So even though, let's say the market doesn't even go to new highs, right? Let's say this breaks down here, okay? Even if the market doesn't go to new highs over the next 2 months, the individual names, the action in individual names, there's going to be huge alpha because of all the damage out there. You follow? That's what would happen. Even like I said, even if it's just we're stuck in this big consolidation here, the entry down here, not only a play on the market, but the individual name action that follows is usually quite healthy. Usually quite healthy. And that's all the stuff they've been selling, finding buyers, all the stuff that's just been mutilated. It doesn't, it feels like it takes much when you're in a rigged market like we've been in, but normally it takes 1 week of selling. That's it. See, like here, people are going to be bulled up and think Santa's coming back, right? And they can catch him here and go whoop, and that's it. You get all of them to spit up once and for all into this, and they're not buying this. You understand? The people spitting up into this, they bought this, they bought this, they bought this. They're not buying this. They're going to spit up into this. And then you're going to have some intelligent money sitting there waiting. You're going to see people are going to give up on names. Even you guys are going to be like fed up. You're not going to even want to talk about names because everything has failed. Then you got the potential for a decent setup. Whoop. But when you get stability like this, it's tough because bulls hang on. They don't lose hope, right? Every time they're close to losing hope, oh, whew, okay, we're okay. We're okay. Santa's coming. Santa's coming. TQQ put. Oh yeah, TQQ puts this morning, right? Yep, I agree. That was a little misleading. But yeah, like IWM call buying with it. So, it's almost like pair trading going on out there. Like, look at IWM, Jesus. Yeah, but one thing you want to understand with sentiment, when sentiment is there, right? Like, for example, you had coming into today, you had pretty solid sentiment setup for a squeeze, right? If you see put action into that signal, fine. You don't want to jump into that put action and get long necessarily. But as soon as that put action clears up, you want to be focused on squeeze. Because you got to understand the mentality of puts. When markets are weak, players are going to buy puts to protect no matter what. It doesn't mean they're necessarily buying, playing for further downside because they have conviction. So when you got, and same thing, why not to short into bullish sentiment signals? Because it can look dire that minute, but as soon as it changes and they light the match, the fire's lit. This week, exactly what we were talking about. Like, do we get a little relief rally here? You know what I mean? Or does the call buying still suck and we see, some weakness out there? Breadth is horrible. Like, that was another thing today, right? That we were talking about. Keep an eye on breadth. A lot of times you see this just boop, roll right over and fall apart. Yeah, there was. Look at this. Talk about snapback. So keep an eye on breadth. We start to see things deteriorate and there's no sweeper activity. Just don't force it. But if they come in and they start buying the Snows of the world and all these names that we're talking about that have had decent pullbacks, they might be decent little trades here and there. I wouldn't hold them to new highs. I would just trade them, even try to day trade them. But again, you guys know what I'm hoping for. But what I'm hoping for and what comes are two different things, Oh, yeah, I want eventually this thing to fail here. And it doesn't have to fail badly. Maybe we don't even have to break those. Maybe we just got to come down here again. But hang around here and get a better buildup. Yeah, could be chop. You're right. Could be chop. There's so many different things that, right? Nobody knows. We don't know until we're in the middle of it. You know, we don't know until we're in the middle of it. But that's why, like, when we have sentiment on our side, we know there's a higher probability of a squeeze coming, right? And that's the only thing we know. No, but keep an eye on sweepers, because when things go sour, they're just not doing anything. They look disinterested. You know, don't get caught sloppy when they look disinterested. That's all. IBD added back. I thought they stopped out. Oh, they did, right? I was going to say that. Oh, there you go. Maybe they'll chop people up to death. And AMD still looks, they all still look good, these things. They all still look good. AMD is not even as bad. AMD, you know, NVIDIA has been going up forever. AMD just got out of consolidation, so I wouldn't even put it in that category, but we'll see what happens, guys. Day to day, take it day to day, right? And we'll see how people position and how the flow looks and make decisions accordingly. All right, but in the meantime, look for those sentiment signals to play something off of. I appreciate it. Those, again, if I don't see some of you, happy Merry Christmas, happy holidays. All right. Friday we're off, right? Yep. All right, guys. Have a good night. I'll see the majority of you mañana anyway. But happy holidays to the rest of you.